The longer the bar, the higher the score. And this helps us to easily identify the customers that we want to target using a visual and a colorful way. Hi, it's Dr. Lau here. Now today I'm going to show you how you can increase your sales based on your customers' behavior. Not all customers are equal. Some of them are loyal customers who come to our shops very often. Some are new customers who require more attention and hand-holding. Well, some are just hibernating. We wish we have all the resources we need so that we can provide a customized service for each of them. But in reality, we can't. We have limited money, time, and manpower. So, what if we can group them together and apply different strategies for each of these people? And that's where RFM analysis come to help. RFM stands for Recency, Frequency, and Monetary. It's a scoring matrix that allows us to segment customers based on their spending habits. When was the last time they have made a purchase? How often they purchase? And how much they spend? We use RFM to target our customers with different communication methods that are relevant to their particular behavior. For instance, we can offer VIP exclusive deals for customers who shop and spend large amount of money at our shop regularly. Or we can send email with discount vouchers to activate customers that has a high visit frequency but have not been visiting us for quite some time. So using RFM helps to generate much higher responses rate, increase customer loyalty, and also their lifetime value. Now let's see how we can implement a RFM model using Microsoft Excel. First of all, let's open our transaction data set in Excel. This is a real-world data set that we have extracted from a sales database. I've included the download link in the description section, so go ahead, download it and try it out together. The first column is the invoice number, followed by the date of the invoice, our customer ID, the stock code of the item that the customer has purchased, and also the description of the item. And then we have the quantity and also the unit price. The total column is simply the quantity times the unit price. So if we take a closer look, right, the invoice number and also the customer ID, you can see that there are some duplicates here. So this means that a single invoice contains multiple items. So we need to combine them into a total value per invoice. And since RFM is about our customer, we'll have to aggregate this information based on the customer ID. So how can we do that? We can use an Excel function called the pivot table to help us to achieve that. So go to the Insert tab and select Pivot Table. It will help us to automatically highlight data set and make sure that you choose new worksheet and also tick the tick box, add this data to the data model and click OK. A pivot table is one of the basic but very powerful data analysis tools that Excel provides, and we can use it to summarize, sort, total, average, and do a lot of different aggregations with our data, and also we can transform columns into rows and vice versa. Alright, so first step, let's drag our customer ID to the rows column, and this will give us all the unique customer IDs. And now we can proceed to prepare for our RFM scores. So first thing first, we want to know the recency. We can drag the invoice date to our values. So right now it's showing the count, which is not something that we want. And since we want to know the last time that our customers have visited us, we should change the count to max. So we go to the value field settings and change it to max. And if you are not happy with the date formatting, you can go back to the value field settings, click on the number format, and choose date with a much shorter display. So we can choose this one. So I always like to choose a date format with month in the English word because this is easier and we won't have any confusion like whether this is a US or a UK date format. Next, I'm going to calculate the frequency, which is how often these customers visit our shop. So to do that, we're going to drag the invoice number to our value. And right now it's showing you the sum of invoice number, which is not what we want. So we're going to change it to count. But if we use count, it would give us number that is not accurate. For example, for customers 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, and the count of invoice number is 5. But if we go back to our data and take a look, right? Data, filter, and let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. The 5 actually comes from the same invoice. So these customers actually just visit our shop once. So what we should do is to go back to our pivot table and change the count of invoice number to distinct count. And this way, all the 5 invoices will be counted as one only, because all the repeated number will not be considered. Now we can see that for customer 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, the count of invoice number has become 1, and which is the number that we want. And lastly, we are going to calculate the money. So we're just going to drag total to the values, and it will show us the total amount of money that this particular customer has spent with us. Alright, now we have done preparing the data for our customers. Let's proceed to calculate their RFM score. The idea behind RFM is to split our data or those values into 5 segments. Sometimes we call it percentile in statistics. And then we assign a score from 1 to 5 for these segments. So for example, if we look at recency, the customers that came to purchase from us the most recently will have a score of 5, and the customers who has not visited us for a long while will get a score of 1. And the same goes to frequency. Those people who buy from us very often will get a score of 5, and those people who did not buy from us that often will get a score of 1. And same goes to sum of total as well. Now, to make our life easier, we can copy the pivot table to another spreadsheet and then continue our work there. Now let's create a recency matrix by using the percentile function. So we are going to use the percentile inclusive, okay, percentile.inc, and the array will be our invoice date. So to select all of them, just press Ctrl Shift down. We don't have to select the grand total, and make sure that we lock our cell. All right, make sure that we lock our range here, so that when we copy later on, it will not be affected. And the first part is 0. Okay, we'll start with the minimum value. And again, go to the cell and format as date. Yeah. And this is the minimum, so this means that this is the date for those customers who have not visited us for a long while, so they should get a score of 1. And we are going to copy this to the rest of the cells and change the percentile to 0.2, which is the 20%, 40%, 60%, and the 80%. And assign the recency score for each of these dates. So now we can proceed to use the VLOOKUP function to help us to get the R score for each of these customers. So we're going to create a new column header, R score, and the equation should be equals VLOOKUP, and the lookup value is our invoice date. Now do take note that you can't just click here, because if you just click here, right, it will give you a get pivot data formula, blah blah blah, which will not allow us to copy directly to the rest of the cells. So what we can do is to just enter the address, cell address directly. So put in B2, and then the second thing that we need for the VLOOKUP function is the table array. So table array refers to our recency matrix here. Alright, so highlight it and make sure that you lock them up using the $sign. So this is to make sure that when we copy to the rest of the cells, the table array is not moving. Okay, it won't be changed. and the column index number is the column that we want to return our value. So the date is the first column and the value that we want is the second column. So we'll put 2, and we are going to use range lookup because these are not exactly the dates that is here. We want to look for the dates within the range as well. So we're going to set it to true, approximate match, and this is our result. So let's double check. So December 7, 2020 is after December 1st. So it's definitely a customers who have visited us very recently. So they will get an R score or recency score of 5. Okay, seems like it's working. So go back to the R score cell, double click on the handler, and it will help us to fill up the rest of the cells automatically. So what we need to do subsequently is to calculate the F score and the M score. So we can repeat what we have done here and create another frequency matrix. So percentile include, and the array will be distinct count of our invoice number, highlight the range, lock it, and the K this time is 0, the same, right? We're going to look for the minimum, and we're going to create 4 more. So this one will be the 20%, this one will be 40%, 60%, and also 80%. What these numbers are showing us here is a little bit different from what we're expecting. So this means that at least 40% of our customers who have visited us, they only visited us once. So this is what the data tell us. We're not going to do any special treatment about it. So we're just going to assign a score of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And later on, when we use VLOOKUP, right, the customers who have visited us once will get a score of 3 automatically because it will look for the largest from this table. Alright, so let's continue to calculate the F score using VLOOKUP as well. So the lookup value is C2, the same table array here, frequency, lock it, column index number 2, range lookup true. Alright, so this customer visited us 5 times, so definitely going to get a 5 from us because it's more than 3 times already. So double click, and as I mentioned, right, these customers who have visited us only once will get a score of 3, which is here. And lastly is the monetary part. Alright, so monetary matrix and percentile. The array is our sum of total. Okay, start with the minimum. And if you forgot to lock it like what I have done here, just go back to the cell, press F2, and go to the cell that you want to lock, press F4 twice, and yep, it will be locked. And then copy to the rest of the cell, 0.2, 0.4, 0.6, 0.8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Format it a little bit, create an M score here, format it, and create another VLOOKUP function. So this time around we're going to use the sum of total, which is D2, and this table array, column index number 2, and true, right? The rest of the parameters are the same. And double click. And let's double check and make sure our M score is calculated correctly. So for this customer who spent 2,500, which is more than 1,002, get a score of 5, which is correct. And let's look at the random one. This guy, 230 and 30 cents. And get an M score of 2. So is 230 is between 201 and 356. So he gets a score of 2, which is also correct. Yep. So the final part of the RFM score calculation is to combine three scores together into a single score. So what we usually do is we can represent them in a single number. Say for these customers, we can say his RFM score is 555 and this customer RFM score is 143. So 555 will be the highest and 111 will be the lowest. And we can create another column called the RFM score. And the formula is very straightforward. Just take the R score times 100 plus the F score times 10 plus the M score. And this will give us the final RFM score that we want. And fill them down. And we can get the RFM score for every single customer now. And one pro tip that I can share with you is by using the conditional formatting, you can turn these numbers into something more visualizable. For example, you can use color scales and just need to highlight the RFM score, conditional formatting, and you can see them in different colors. So the green colors will be the one in the higher score, and then the red color will be the one in the lower score. Or alternatively, you can also use something called the data bars, and to see that the longer the bar, the higher the score. And this helps us to easily identify the customers that we want to target using a visual and a colorful way. Now, if we take all three of our RFM scores, we will end up with a 5 by 5 by 5 matrix, which is 125 combinations customer segments. But in practice, we usually take the recency and frequency as the main aggregation features. So this way, we will only end up with a 5 by 5, which is 25 segments. And then we will sort again based on the amount that they have spent. For example, customers with a recency of 5 and a frequency of 5, we call them champions or VIPs. Customers with a recency score of 4 and frequency of 5 are loyal customers. Well, customers with a recency score of 1 and a frequency score of 1 are hibernating. So, depends on your nature of business, you will need to adjust the importance of RFM factors. For example, if you're selling property, your frequency should be the frequency of communication, say email or messages, instead of frequency of purchase, because they are all going to be low. But if you're running a restaurant, then it will be the total opposite. The recency and frequency will be more important, whether monetary is less important, since most of them, they spend about the same amount. And if you're running a membership site like medium.com, Netflix, then your M can be the minutes that they spend, because the more minutes they watch, the more time they will have invested in us. Of course, you can use RFM to manage your life. I've seen people using it in a brainstorm session to find out ideas that have been discussed frequently and also will generate revenue for the company. In a nutshell, RFM is a data-driven segmentation technique that allows us to take tactical decisions. Marketers can identify users and group them into categories so that we can target them with more effective strategies, and this will help us to engage and retain our important customers. Now try and implement RFM in your business and work. Let me know how it has helped you in the comment section. I'll see you next time.